Hello, Josue here for Standard, actually. This is a Junk Planeswalkers deck that I kind of made. Um, and this was created a couple of weeks before GP Charleston. And this is a newly updated after that. There are a couple of things I want to say. First of all, I'm not any hardcore constructed player at all. I don't have the budget for it, honestly. Um, I've been playing for a long time, but it's always been casual, and the most tournaments I've done, and the only tournaments I've done actually, are limited, just drafts and stuff. But after a long time of following Standard, I finally decided maybe now it's time to get into it. So I still don't have a budget, but I do with what I can. And what I did actually is buy um, most of the dual lands um, for a junk deck. So 4 Temple Gardens, 4 Isolated Chapels, 4 Overgrown Tombs, and 2 Woodland Cemeteries. I didn't have enough at the time to buy any, and I actually haven't felt like I've needed them. I wouldn't take out a forest for them, and I wouldn't take out a swamp because of what I'll talk about later. So the deck. First of all, I kind of wanted to play the best cards in these colors except for one. That is Thragtusk. Why? Well, Thragtusk is 15 tickets, and that is one of the downsides to this budget rogue kind of series that I want to be doing. But also, I don't really like Thragtusk. It's an amazing card. It's great, but I feel like because everybody has them, um, it's not, it's kind of just, it just pushes. It's a tie. So if I'm playing Thragtusk and they're playing Thragtusks, doesn't really matter. I don't think whoever draws the most Thragtusks will win. It's not that type of card. So what I thought is how can I go above and beyond that? And the first thing is, honestly, Thragtusk is just a creature. So there is a way to get above that. There is a way to deal with that, and that is have a bigger creature. So here's like Geist Honored Monk and Elder Skill Worm, which is bigger usually. Geist Honored Monk is a little variable. But actually, let's go through the deck one by one. So here, the one drops is a new addition, mainly because of that GP Charleston deck. I forgot who it was, but he top aided with a black, green, white deck that was more focused on tokens. It had 4 Lingering Souls, I think 3 Midnight Hauntings, 4 Intangible Virtues, a couple Selesnya Charms, Sorens, stuff like that. I thought that was really cool, and I also saw that he played these one drops, and I thought, whoa, how come I didn't think of that? It seems very silly to me. I originally only had Farseeks, and I realized, you know, it makes the deck run so much smoother when you have a 5 1 drops. I felt 5 was a good amount. I do have Terminuses, or Termini in the deck, and it's very awkward. It feels terrible to use Terminus when you have these 1 drops. Alright, now for the 2 drops, I have 3 Farseeks, and that's more for specific fixing and also acceleration. And we can kind of lug Chromatic Lantern in there as well. 2 Ultimate Price is just for instant speed removal. I really like instant speed removal in this format, especially with my deck because I have Planeswalkers. So a lot of times, like something like, we can talk about Thragtusk because it is such a huge part of the green metagame, or with any deck that has green. I play, if we're on an empty board, I play a Planeswalker. I'm in a great position. They play a Thragtusk, and then if I use a Sever, they still have the 3/3. It's harder for me to defend my Planeswalkers. With Ultimate Price, I could lay down the Planeswalker, pass the turn, and then when they lay down their Thragtusk and attack with it, I kind of just fog it for a turn. Yeah, it's not the best value, but I gain an attack, and having 5, 6, 7 Planeswalkers, them losing an attack phase is pretty important, because it just gives me another turn. Uh, 4 Centaur Healers is pretty much a nod to the aggressive decks. I used to have 3, I used to almost have none, but you know, I just lost the zombies and the red decks very easily. Plus, it gives me something early to do. I also like having, you know, going turn 2 Centaur Healer, turn 3 Planeswalker, because it did what it had to do. It gave me my life, and it just becomes another blocker. Oblivion Ring is the same thing. Oblivion Ring is amazing. Uh, it just, you know, attacks in the air, it chump blocks, it gets big with Sorens. Also gets big with Gavany Township and Vault of the Archangel. I kind of want another Gavany Township. I might have to work around the mana eventually to get there. I actually don't know if I have any more. I should have at least one more. No, I have 2 more. So that is a possibility. Oblivion Ring is kind of a catch-all, though I kind of side those out sometimes. Other players have Rave Revelation in the sideboards, and it just kind of catches me with my pants down. So that's not cool. Chromatic Lantern, as I said, is another Farseek, and also will tie into a sideboard plan that I thought of. And it's not important, but it is not important. I was going to say I thought about it before Ali's deck, but, you know, I'll get to it later. So here's kind of like the workhorse of the deck, which is Sorin. Sorin, I think it's great. It deals with Ragtusk by itself because it just chump blocks it all day. Um, the 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 ultimate is actually very important. There are more Planeswalkers being played in this metagame right now. There's Jace. There's others. So, well, I guess not other Sorins. There's Jaces. There's Tamiyos. Vraska every now and then. And it just gets creatures. So it's pretty strong. Also, its -2 is very strong with Lingering Souls. It's good against red decks if you get them early because it makes their game plan very awkward. Do you kill the Sorin? Do you just keep killing me? And then if you do, you know, I'm getting life with my life linkers. Liliana is kind of like a pet card of mine. Also, what I want to do with this video series is kind of like, you know, I don't want to net deck and just, you know, play. That's just not who I am. I really like, you know, playing somewhat fringe cards. I like playing powerful cards that maybe have not had their, you know, time in the spotlight kind of thing. I actually really like Liliana. I like her +1s. You get swamps. Right now I have, I think, 9 swamps in the deck. No, I have 8 swamps in the deck. And it honestly, it has been awkward. There has been points where I have Liliana and I don't have any more swamps to get. But I've used her -3 both ways. She's great on an empty board too. You just drop her, get a land, and you're almost guaranteed to kill whatever creature they're going to play next. So she's actually really good. And she's great with any like Sorin token, because if you give it, you know, especially against like a red deck or any kind of aggressive deck, you just +3/+3 +4/+4. I did +7/+7 once. You just gain the life, and she actually does kind of a lot. I've never used the emblem, never had to. You know, it's not. There's no mana sink in this deck. I mean, I'm not gonna play like one Perilous Shadow just for her, but I do like her, and she's actually, believe it or not, you can't just ignore her, especially on a control deck, because you're literally just drawing an extra card every turn. Martial Law I like. It feels Planeswalker-ish because it's not something they can usually interact with game 1. Also, I really like cards that you can kind of just like, not even just play on an empty board, but play on a stalled board, you know, if like we each have a creature, or, you know, even if I'm at 20, play Martial Law, and then, you know, whatever creature they're going to play, regardless of what happens, you like Supreme Verdict or Terminus or anything, one of their creatures will not matter ever. And it's also good against Dragtusk because it doesn't. It's like it's off the board, but it doesn't leave that stupid 3/3 behind. Sever the Bloodline I like. There are a lot of tokens out there. Sometimes it's a little slow, but you know, I really like the fact that it's just straight up creature removal, and I could use it again, and kills tokens, kills multiple things. It's good against Angel of Serenity. I also realize whenever somebody plays Angel of Serenity, which sometimes is a problem for this deck, it's like, man, and I deal with one of them, like ultimate price or something, like my biggest fear is like, what if they have another one that just starts all over? Sever the Bloodline kind of just deals with that. Vraska is another Planeswalker. I kind of like the goal of this deck is kind of just have Planeswalker control. She's also great. She's not great on an empty board, or any Planeswalker is great on an empty board, but she's great against one threat. Thragtusk is the biggest problem with Vraska because you can't just drop her, kill the Thragtusk, because then it gets threatened by the 3/3. But she's great regardless. I wish it didn't say non-land permanent, but you know, I think it's fair that it says non-land permanent. But she also just deals with cards like Detention Sphere, other Oblivion Rings, any like random bothersome non-land permanents. Bloodgift Demon is actually just one of my favorite cards, and some I've seen less Jund decks, and Jund decks usually played like 2 to 4 Sever the Bloodlines, and then like 2 to 3 Dreadbores. So Bloodgift Demon like was not great, but against these other decks, it's like you need to have one of your sweepers to deal with it, or else he's gonna like win the game, because this Phyrexian Arena effect just does so much. Geist-Honored Monk, I think, may be the next card to be on the chopping block. I used to have Unburial Rites in the deck, which made me very happy, like with cards like Centaur Healer, Geist-Honored Monk, Bloodgift Demon, because you know they're value creatures. Maybe not so much Bloodgift Demon because he needs to stay in play, but you know, something like Geist-Honored Monk. But then I took him out because there were a lot of base black, not base black, but black containing mid-range decks that use Sever the Bloodline, so I'd almost never find myself with Creature in my graveyard, so that's not here. So I'm not sure what to bring in or what to take out for this. I mean, if I had a Thragtusk, I'd just play that, but I don't have one. Terminus is just, you know, catch-all, remove anything and everything. Also, it's at the bottom of their libraries, which is very relevant. Elder Scale Worm, I have gotten this out against a red deck, and they pretty much can't deal with it ever. Even against these, I wouldn't say slower, I'm not sure how much slower they are, but the ones that play Thundermaw Hellkite to kind of just get big and you know, screw Thragtusk, which is going to hit in the air. You know, still can't deal with it. I'm still at 7 all the time. So they need like at least 3 burn spells for something like this. And you know, by the time I get this out, their hand is hopefully empty. So this is the deck. The sideboard, I have 2 more Terminuses for the aggressive deck. I just got to board all 4 in. Also, that's why I have Ultimate Price. Against green-black, which I don't think will be as popular, Ultimate Price is really awkward because you can only get like Diregraph Ghoul and Gravecrawler. Because they got Cackler, they got Dregmangler, they got Lotleth Troll, so I hope to just not play against those. I actually don't have another Rare Revelation. But I don't want one. I don't really have space. The sideboard is what can be the most tinkered with, I feel, at the moment. Appetite for Brains is against slower decks. You know, those bank controls, those white, blue, red control decks. Cards like with Angel Serenity are really tough. Certain Planeswalkers are hard to deal with. With all these sweepers going around, it's usually just like one threat that stays on the board, and like a card like Tamiyo is super problematic sometimes. Duress is also for more counter-heavy decks. There are more blue decks that have counters now because counters are pretty good in this format because this format has slowed down. Though I don't know if I need all 5 of these discard spells. If I had Liliana of the Veil, that'd be amazing. I'd love to try to fit her in, but I don't. Another Ultimate Price, I'd imagine, goes... I put another one in. This is fairly new. I put another one in for the aggressive deck. Sever the Bloodline against another mid-range creature deck. So against like another like green green, black, any like kind of Jund deck or any kind of grindy deck that tries to win with creatures, I'll put another Sever the Bloodline. So Nicol Bolas, 2 Chromatic Lantern, and then this third in the main. I used to have all 4, but then I figured maybe 3 is enough. Um, this is for slower decks and even more mid-range decks. Um, like I said, I just kind of want to do the biggest, baddest thing there is, and I'm not gonna go as far as play Door Nothingness. Um, not yet, maybe. But I feel like Nicol is so crazy and disgustingly good. Um, that once it resolves, it's hard to lose. Um, both the abilities are very important. I actually like the +3 the best, especially against like these new bank control decks that kind of just like recycle Sphinx's Revelation. They deal with a lot of mana, so if you start attacking their mana, um, then it's they're kind of pressed, you know. And his ultimate is just like disgusting. It's bonkers. Um, so that's kind of the plan. So I'm gonna run this through a couple of daily, no, not dailies, a couple of 2-mans. Actually, I went 3-1. I think I played 4 and got 3-1. Yeah, I lost to uh, I lost to one of those Bant decks because I totally forgot to bring this in for some reason. I was just like, oh man, what do I put in here? And then I had like stupid dead cards. It was a dumb mistake. Um, so this is the deck. Feel free to comment on anything you like, anything you don't like. Honestly, this deck is only changing with the card availability that I have. But, I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah, I could throw in 4 Thragtusks, but that's just like not fun at all. And I think it'd be a different deck if it had Thragtusks in it. I'd probably just like, honestly, I'd only want to play like 1 or 2. And that's for the aggressive red decks anyway. So there's the deck. Sorry that went way longer than I thought, but get on to the matches soon.